Today, we're trying to get more perspective, not just on where the markets go, but how everyone in this country is navigating through this, whether it's you at home or the business leaders who are running the biggest companies in this country. Let's speak to one of them now. Victor Dodig is the CEO of CIBC, and he's been kind enough to join us to talk a little bit more about how his business is navigating through this uncertainty. Victor, thanks very much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Doing okay. Obviously, a lot of people wondering if they're going to be doing okay. And obviously, your firm gets a lot of questions, whether it's the big businesses you deal with or someone who just has some questions about their bank account, or even the small businesses who you work with. Victor, I had a conversation with one small business operator who's worried about whether they're going to get through this. And they have felt in some ways like their bank wasn't fully behind them. Their bank is not CIBC, but I do wonder for a brand, for a bank, for reputation, how much is on the line in that relationships that are built over years, those trusting relationships at a time like this?
John, as I've said before, this is our moment of truth, where our entire team has come together to singularly focus on our clients. We sense the anxiety that's out there with our personal clients, our business clients, our corporate and commercial clients. And what we are doing as a team is putting them front and center in everything that we can possibly do in this very uniquely challenging time. For our consumer clients, we're seeing 20,000 deferrals per day on average of mortgages and credit card payments. For our small business clients, we're seeing the same thing in terms of deferral requests. So we're helping them through this cash flow issue. We're doing the same thing in commercial and corporate Canada. We're also seeing our clients draw on their lines constructively, seek advice as they seek to bridge to the normal period that will eventually come. So it's important for us to recognize the high anxiety that's out there and to come together as a CIBC team to make sure that we're serving them and serving their needs during this very high time of understandable anxiety. What I'm encouraged by...
So those are the right...
Go ahead, John.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but obviously you're making the right moves for your business, and yet in the world of investing right now, companies can't really rely on traditional forecasts, which means we've kind of moved away from a dialogue around profits. And I had a conversation yesterday with the former CEO of RBC, Gordon Nixon, who said in times like this, it's really not about profits. Is that the approach that you're taking?
It's really all about our clients and their client need and their needs in this very acute moment in time. That's what we're focused on. There clearly is anxiety around cash flows. You're seeing that from Canadian consumers. You're seeing that from our business clients. And therefore, we're putting their needs front and center, as we always do, but in a particularly important way today in terms of deferring, in terms of providing them access to lines of credit in the instance of businesses. We will get through this. The other thing that we're working on, and we're doing this collectively as a group of banks, working with the government collaboratively to make sure that the programs that the government has put forth are accessed by our clients. You'll see that starting to happen over the course of the next 2 weeks. That would include the Canadian Emergency Relief Benefit, the Canadian Emergency Business Account, all of which we're working on to get those resources to our clients in addition to what we're doing as a bank in terms of our own balance sheet.
Victor, you started your career at the bank branch. Obviously, your career's taken you to so many different aspects of the business. But your team, many of them are working from home. What would be your message to all of your employees right now?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm incredibly proud of our team. We are 40,000 plus strong in Canada, the United States, and around the world. We are seeing them rise to the challenge. While many work from home, there are a significant number of our employees who continue to work in our banking centers. We've reduced the hours. We've improved social distancing. We've added plexiglass at these CSR wickets so that they feel safe. But they have really stood up to the challenge of what our clients are looking for. We see the same thing in our contact centers, where we've socially distanced our employees. We had some of them work from home. But that has been an intense moment of activity with our clients as people seek to reach us to talk about their needs in this very acute period of time. So our employees are the lifeblood of our bank. We've really tried to take care of them from a social distancing measure. For those in the front line, we've paid them a per diem of $50 a day to also recognize their heroic efforts. There are many that are working in closed banking centers that don't have access to clients but are reaching out to our clients during this period of time. And it's encouraging during this period of time. There are real human stories that are coming out that we should all see some great optimism in this during a very challenging time. I got an email from one of our employees who said, I just deferred a mortgage for one of our clients that has a 4-unit rental apartment. And they said, thank you for doing this. I plan on passing this on to my tenants. And these are the brilliant human stories that you're seeing of a bank stepping forward and of clients stepping forward to do the right thing. You see that at the personal level. I talked to a REIT CEO this week who said we're doing it for our tenants in certain instances where we're deferring rents for 2 to 3 months. We're all standing up to that challenge. It's an incredibly proud moment during a very difficult time.
Yeah. Given what you're saying about your employees as well, would you be in a position to make a kind of pledge, not unlike what we heard from Dave Mackay of RBC in a memo to staff about not cutting jobs in 2020 beyond anything that you've already talked about?
That's correct. We are not planning on doing any of that beyond everything we've talked about already. We want to make sure that our employees are safe and secure in their jobs. We've also offered that to our part-time employees as well. We've also offered that to the summer interns. We just sent them an email last week welcoming to them to their internship at our bank this summer. And even though they may work remote, they'll be working remotely for the most part. They'll be working as teams to solve some of the very real problems that we've asked them to tackle, to encourage them and make them feel good about our commitment to their summer roles.
And as a CEO as well, we're starting to hear more news, whether it's Bob Iger or Kalen Rovinescu, about their own compensation. Is there anything on that front you've been thinking about, Victor?
I think the goal there is let the board decide that all at the end of the year, which is part of the process. Right now, all we're fixated on, John, are our clients. Truly helping our clients, helping our employees, helping our communities.
And then another group, the investors who have been watching with uncertainty these days, at least with the banks, one of the most common questions we get, I know you get it too, is things like dividends. Is the dividend safe? What would you say to that, Victor?
Well, our dividends have been, we've never cut a dividend since 1868. Our goal is to make sure that those dividends are flowing. I'd say a couple of things. The Canadian banking sector is incredibly well capitalized. We've worked with the Bank of Canada, the Department of Finance, and our regulator to make sure that we have all the tools in place to ensure that credit is moving to businesses. OSFI has said no increases in dividends, no share buybacks during this period, which is completely understandable. But I'd say one thing that's incredibly important. We, the Canadian investors that invest in our banks, rely on those dividends for income. And every source of reliable income that we can provide Canadians and Americans and our other shareholders that are investing in our banks is incredibly important at this moment in time where cash flow reduces anxiety.
Just before you go, we're trying to get a sense. I mean, we're in the unknown, so nobody can know what kind of economic recovery lies ahead. But what is your best guess at this point, Victor?
Well, John, I can tell you a couple of things. One is not a guess. This is a very real healthcare crisis that none of us had anything to do with, but all of us are tackling head on. And it's taking a very human toll on everybody. And I wanted to, before I got off the air, I wanted to make sure that there's a shout out to our healthcare workers who are on the very front line, taking care of Canadians and taking care of all the clients that we and non-clients that we deal with in terms of their health care. That is the most important thing today. In terms of the economic impact, there's undoubtedly going to be an economic impact. The most important thing that we can do to reduce that impact is to make sure that we're adhering to all the government directives on social distancing and isolation so that we can end this healthcare crisis as soon as possible. The second thing that we can do is continue to bridge our clients' concerns during this period of anxiety by giving them some breathing room through payment deferrals and through access to lines